Hey, my name is Nicole Vick. I am from South Los Angeles and I was born and raised here and have been educated here all the way from elementary school through where I am now. So I have my bachelor's degree in public policy and management. I have a master's degree in public health, and I have a doctorate degree, or soon to be doctorate degree, May 2024, in education. So I'm really excited to be here to share my journey with you. Let's get into it. So how did I fall into public health, right? How did this happen? And I think for me, it was for real, like a true accident. It wasn't something that it was intentional or that I was very much aware of until I was already in it. So I started college back what, 1996, 1997. Don't worry about that, okay? It was back in the day. And at the time, I was a teen mom. Let's be real. I was pregnant. I walked onto the campus as a pregnant teen. And around my junior or senior year, I decided okay, enough of working on the campus cafeteria, time to kind of really start to branch out and look for employment. And so I applied for a student professional worker position at the county, at the local health department that is in this area. And I got hired and they put me right in the STD program. And so I was like, okay. I was doing all this really cool stuff. They had me putting together PowerPoint presentations and all this stuff. And I was working with health educators. And so I had never heard of a health educator. And I started to ask well, how did you get into this? What school did you go to? They all had master's degrees in public health. And so for many governmental institutions to be a health educator, you have to have a master's degree in public health. And I was like, oh, well, for me, I'm like, go back to school. And the funny thing is there was a woman, an epidemiologist who worked in the same program, but a different unit. And she said to me, she was an older Black woman and really valuable to have that kind of mentorship. She said, go back to school, get your degree, you will double your salary. Here I go. I'm like, that's 2 more years. I don't want to do that. 2 years is going to pass anyway. That's what she said. And I'm like, now I rolled my eyes, but for real, I was raised, you respect your elders, your mentors, the folks that's looking out for you. I listened to her. And she was absolutely 100% right. Funny thing is, she actually still works there. I see her often. So she has become like auntie. I asked her to, hey, I think I'm gonna go back for my doctorate. What should I do? Do it. So I, once again, listen to her. But that's where that passion for public health came all those years ago, 20 plus years ago as a student worker. And it was an amazing experience. I think everybody should have that kind of experience for sure, because it's like you really see people in their most vulnerable state, but you're also able to help them. And that's very rewarding. So why I pursued my master's first and my doctorate afterwards? Well, first and foremost, there's a big time span between my master's degree and this current doctoral degree. So I'll give you a quick timeline. I graduated undergrad in 2000. That's like 23 years ago, right? I got my master's degree in 2005. So those were pretty close together, right? But then I started, right, or I'm about to graduate in 2024. So there's a huge gap between 2005 and 2024. So when I got my master's degree, there was no thought process about a doctorate degree at all. There really wasn't, at least at that time. Now, over the years, I have thought about it. I have said, well, maybe I should get a DRPH or a PhD in public health. Maybe I should do that. And for me, it was cost. And turns out I'm going to be paying this. But it's okay. It's all right. You do what you do. You make your choices. You move forward. I just think that in life, sometimes you ponder on things and maybe maybe not yet, but then it just becomes the right time and then you move on it. And then at the end of the day, you were in the space you were supposed to be in at the time you were supposed to be there, and it all happens as it should. So the master's degree came first, obviously in my mind, because the doctorate was not even a consideration at that time. In 2003, 2005, my child was in elementary school. I wasn't thinking about, oh, I'm gonna get my PhD. It was not a thought at all at that time. So back in 2018, I did a TEDx talk And the way I found out about it is I was an adjunct professor at Occidental College here. Now, if you know anything about Occidental College, you know that Barack Obama went to Occidental for like a semester or maybe longer. But that's what, you know, they're like, woo, Barack was here. If you go on campus, you see the posters, and it's like they really hyped that up. But anyway, I had been teaching at Occidental College for a long time, actually. It's one of the things that when you have a master's degree, you can teach undergrad, right? If you have a doctorate degree, you can teach graduate students, right? So I was able to teach undergrad for a long time, I think since maybe 2012, I'll say. But anyway, in 2018, one of the emails popped up about TEDx Occidental College. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring, you know, submit my little proposal, and let's see what happens. And their TEDx is for students and faculty. So the students do it, and then also the faculty can participate. And I submitted my pitch, you know, I pitched my idea for my talk, and they were like, yes. Now, I am blessed because I know someone that does Toastmasters. And so she came over, I have a good friend, and she came over and she said, okay, you don't memorize your speech. You learn the story. So you remember the story. So your speech is a series of stories. And what you need to focus on is the general idea of the story and remember your transitions. It's more important to remember those transitions to kind of get you to the next hump, because every time you speak, it'll actually be, your speech will be a little bit different each time. And so I never really memorized it. I would just, you know, driving to work, I would just talk through it, you know, and remember those transitions. Okay, now I'm going to this part. That's how I learned it, and that's how I did it. So that's TEDx. I'm hoping to do another one because I have another idea about a talk that would be something I think people would be interested in hearing. So TEDx was amazing. I think it's a great experience. It helps you to learn how to speak and to put together a compelling talk or story. And it was just a rewarding experience. I focused on my sort of public health experience, and the topic, or the title, it was something like "They see numbers, we see faces." And it was, for me, this idea of when you are a Black person or any other person of color, honestly, when you go into these spaces like public health or other social service, it means more to you than just work. Because most of the time we are impacted personally by all of society's ills, right? Unfortunately for Black people, we have some of the worst health outcomes in the United States. So me going into public health is not just a job, right? This is me really looking at, wait a minute, everything, these data points that you're talking about in regards to Black people's health in this community affects me personally. You're talking about me. You're not talking about this abstract somebody across the street. You're talking about my people. You're talking about my mama. You're talking about me. And so I see this differently than other people may. I don't see numbers. I see faces. I see people. And so how does that impact me as I do my work? So yeah, that's the TEDx talk experience. Adjunct professor life was amazing. I really loved the students. I did. Some of them were so engaged, so excited, so interested in the work. Some of them were really like, wow, and really interested in what I was trying to teach them. The other part of teaching that I loved is because of my profession, I was able to bring real life experiences to the classroom, right? I wasn't the textbook teacher. Okay, read chapter 4. I mean, I might make you read it. I might just, because you probably do need to read chapter 4. But then I'm going to say, okay, so this is what chapter 4 is like in real life, right? From a governmental public health perspective. And then this is what chapter 4 is like in your life. Student at Occidental College, student at Cal State LA. So I always try to make all these things come alive. They were not just concepts on the paper. They were alive. And I would show them. One of the most rewarding, yet it was like bittersweet, was during COVID. Because I promise you, literally, I had a class, one semester, one week we were in person. All right, y'all. Okay, see you for, bye. Have fun over spring break. Whatever it was. I think it was spring break. And then the next week it was like, okay, COVID, we're going to actually add another week of spring break because everybody has to go home. So all the students had to go home. And then we had to switch quickly to online, which was fine because I've taught online before, so I didn't have a problem with that. But it was bittersweet because what I had to do is quickly modify and say, okay, I'm not going to give you a final exam. We're not going to do finals like we usually do. At the beginning of semester, I asked you why you wanted to be in this class, what you hope to learn. And now your final is just to tell me what's going on in your life right now in regards to COVID. Yes, maybe pull out some concepts I've taught you, but I just want to hear what's going on. And baby, them papers, them students were going through it because their parents maybe had businesses that had to close, or they were confused. Why do I have to go home? I don't know. Everybody's sick in my family. You know, all kinds of stuff that I was hearing them talk about. And I was happy to be able to be some sense of stability for them because they saw me online every week, but it was a lot. It was a lot. I hope I never have to go through that again in that space. But if I do, I hope to be a support to them because that was rough. But I love them students. And some of them, you know, I'll catch up with them on LinkedIn or something in grad school, doing this, doing that. Matter of fact, I need to write a letter of recommendation for one. But some of them take it and run with it. Or they change their major because they've been in my class. Like, you know what, now I want to do something different because you taught me something. That is what teaching is about. And it really is something I need to do more of. I had to stop for a minute because I'm in school. I decided I couldn't juggle school, work, and teaching, but I hope to get back to it soon because I love the kids. The kids is great. And they teach me stuff too. I teach them, but they teach me because some things I'm like, what is that? And then we get some, you know, it's a shared learning experience, which I really, really enjoy. So when I was starting to consider my doctoral program, I say, listen, I think I have enough public health experience. I'm actually interested in something else. I want to understand the organizational aspects of this institution of public health. So I'm going to take what I know about public health and layer it on what I'm learning around organizational change and leadership, because you can love something. I love public health. I think that on its face, what it stands for is absolutely perfect. It's absolutely needed. It's necessary. However, when you love something, you also can look at it and tear it apart. Something ain't right. The call is coming from inside the house, right? So I'm like, what's wrong? What are the issues? How can we fix them? But a degree in organizational change and leadership can help me figure that out. And so that's why I wanted to do a little different. I didn't want to just say, well, I obviously am a public health expert, 20 years. Well, let me get a doctorate in public health. Let me try to see how else I can sort of amplify my experience in work, right? And my lived experience as a Black person working in this industry and a Black person living in South Los Angeles, and try to figure out how to make a difference. The other side of it too is I can take these skills from this degree into any industry. The public library. People don't realize that the library is also about social justice. It's books, but it's also a safe space for people. The only place where you can go and not have to buy something, right? People go there to fill out job applications. People go there to rent tools. Well, at least our county library is like that. So how can we reimagine the library to be around social justice issues and be equitable? I can do that with both my public health experience and this degree in organizational change. So that's what really kind of weighed things out for me and really drove my decision. In a sense, USC has trained me to learn to be critical of institutions like USC or institutions like public health. So it's been a wonderful experience. I can't wait to graduate. My cap and gown is here already. I got chapter 4 and chapter 5 of my dissertation to write. I'm already coding my data. I'm almost done with that. And it's been amazing. Oh, I didn't share with you my dissertation focus. I'm focused on the psychological safety of Black local health department employees in the United States. I've interviewed 10 of them from all over the country. Coincidentally, none in my area directly, which is fine. Black employees are either leaving because they're disheartened, or they're not happy. Something's going on. They're being treated poorly. So my job is to now take that data and figure out what's going on and potentially be able to propose some solutions. So I'm excited. Schoolwork is exciting to me. So really, really happy. All right, that's it.